Good, man. What's going on?
Oh, so much. Very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. This is the second Taout podcast to talk about Taout. But
Okay.
one where you're on it, and I want to introduce anybody who might be watching or watching the recording. That I would like to introduce Andrew Arrow, our new Chief Technology Officer, who is already making amazing strides and improvements and features to the platform that we're going to talk about in a little bit. So Andrew, welcome to the Taout team.
Thank you.
Glad to have you, man. It's been a great couple of weeks working with you so far already, and I can't wait to see the amazing things that are going to happen in the future.
Yeah,
Um,
likewise. I'm super bullish on Tout. This has been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I'm already seeing like the new interface with the camera options and the microphone stuff down there, which is great. And we don't need to do our thumbnail take because we added custom thumbnails. There's a lot of new features that I'm going to talk about real quick. For anybody who's familiar with what Tout was, we used to be just go live now. That was the only way you could go live. You could go live right now. Well, since Andrew's been on board, we now have a scheduler, which means you can get on and you can schedule a conversation or a podcast with anybody in the network. And that will populate. If you look up on the top of your nav bar, it now says podcast. You click on that, and you'll see schedule a podcast. You'll see Tout calendar, which will be all the podcasts in the entire platform, and then you'll see my calendar, which is a curated calendar just for you based on the ones that you said you wanted to watch, or maybe you're following that person, or the conversation is about a topic that you have an interest in, which is the reason why we in our emails sometimes try to push you folks to get your interests on your profile. So it will really do that topic interest matching. It will allow you to find things that you're interested in, find content that you're interested in, or if you're a broadcast podcaster, find audiences who are interested in the things that you're talking about. So that's the schedule and the calendar. And we added this other thing called post and pickup, or post to pickup. So if you don't have anybody to debate on a topic, you can just go in and post a pickup, which means, hey, I'm Greg. I think about X about this topic. I'm looking for a debate, or I'm looking for a discussion. And you just post it in like a community bulletin board, and anybody who wants to accept that can accept that. You set a window of time where you're available, and the person sort of refines that window of time. Everybody gets notified. You guys connect, and you have a conversation on Tout. So that's just another way to find people to have conversations with. One of the other things that we've done is created downloadable videos. So if you are a podcaster, you are able to download the video content. It won't have this on it. It'll just be the video, but you could download it and share it and chop it up however you want, and use it on social media for your own purposes or your own marketing purposes, whatever. And we have one more that we haven't talked about. And you all can't see it, but I think I'm gonna demo. Let me see if I can do this. How would I do this? I need to open this in another window. So let's see. I want to. In a new window. Bear with me, I'm just moving some things around. I should have had this prepared, but I'm going to share my screen. Yes, I'm going to get a little warning that says you make sure that you've checked and everything on your screen is nothing's going to show that you don't want to show. And then it allows you to share my screen. I'm going to choose which window I want to share, and boom, I'm sharing my screen. So now I can show you where these new features are. If you go over here to podcast, you click on the podcast, and you see now we have my feed, go live, schedule a podcast, the Tout calendar, my calendar, post a pickup, and view pickup posts. So if you wanted to do, and it's very similar to the way you just do a go live. There's just a few other features. You pick explore all, or pick from your interests. And I'm going to hit explore all, and we'll just say football. And there's a bunch of different topics that might come up. Pro football games. We added a bunch of new different types of conversations, so it's not just debate or dialogue, but we're going to have a debate. and then you put in a title, short description, invite the person you want to have join you, and you set the date and time and schedule. Boom, it populates on the calendar. I'm not going to actually do that because we're not going to have that conversation, but it's there if you want it. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're back. So Andrew, it worked. Awesome.
Okay. It's always exciting to see it work.
Yeah. So the behind the scenes part of this conversation, Andrew had a great idea. We were having a debate, not a debate, a discussion about mobile responsiveness. And Andrew, I'm gonna let you explain what that means to people who may not know what that means in a minute. But it's sort of like, what's the best way to handle mobile users who don't yet have the iPhone or Android app on their phone yet. So Andrew, if you want to just sort of explain what mobile responsiveness is for people who may not know, and then state your case, and then we'll have our meeting and figure out how we're gonna manage this.
Sure. I just opened some evidence in the tab. If you've noticed, there's a little picture of the evidence.
Yeah, there's a little red dot up there. You notice the red dot on there that when that shows up. Okay. Mobile browsers.
So to talk about mobile responsiveness first, just to explain what it is. Yeah, so basically when you're using your computer on a desktop and you have a browser open, that's the expected use case of Web UI, the desktop version. That's the normal one. That's the one that started first, of course, before there were, smartphones, right? Okay, so then over on a smartphone, it's the same thing. It's the same HTML, JavaScript, CSS. You're hitting the same server, but it's a limited screen size. And so this whole thing called responsiveness is how CSS evolved to allow things to flow, so that like if you have a widescreen, now all of a sudden it doesn't look ridiculous. It actually flows down.
So the difference between on a phone or whether you're landscape or whatever, it adjusts and it responds to.
Yeah, responsive means any screen size, basically. Yeah. You got a huge screen size, you give it a tiny screen size. It should all work, right? Now, there's details in there for certain things. Like sometimes you're building a feature on a desktop and the feature requires screen real estate. Like it requires a large browser, and it's just not going to work in a tiny screen unless you redesign it slightly to work specifically on mobile. But in that case, and we have an example of that. If you go to our feed and you go to filter on desktop, that filter takes up the whole screen almost. It's very complex. If you go look at that in mobile responsive, it's the same feature, same stuff, but slightly different interface. You'll notice like things have to scroll a little bit different. Okay, so that works. That one's fine, right? The debate we're having here, or our discussion, is, okay, what do we do about the really complex stuff, which is video, what we're doing right now, audio, microphones, screen sharing, all that really complicated stuff. Could that also be in, just in responsive mobile, just in HTML, JavaScript, CSS? This gets into what mobile developers will immediately think of, which is React Native, which is, by the way, how our mobile apps used to be written. Now we have native ones. Now we have truly native apps that are written in Swift for iOS and Kotlin for Android. And so, but in that world of React Native, that's what it's doing. It's just simply, it's not really an app. It's an app that's just showing a browser, right? And so if we look at the evidence tab now, this is the crux of what I'll explain here of why this doesn't work, right? Is because on iOS, and we'll get to Android in a second, but it's basically the same thing. On iOS, there's no such thing as different browsers. You might think that there's choices like, oh, I can install Chrome or Firefox or DuckDuckGo or Brave, right? The way iOS works, the way Apple enforces it, is everything is using something called WebKit, which is just Safari, basically. And so those other browsers have different features. They skin it differently, they have bookmarks differently, they do all sorts of stuff. But the underlying technology is still, this very limited thing called WebView. And so let me upload the next slide here. Okay.
Okay.
So if I go to, okay, so found a bug. I was able to upload one file, but I'm not able to upload my second one. Let's see if
really
I can.
On evidence?
So I'm doing the exact same thing, and I'm trying to upload the second file, and it's saying file 2, unable to upload that file. All right, I'll have to look at that one after the call. So
what kind of file was it?
Same thing. These are all just images.
It's another PNG. Interesting. Yeah. That's weird. Okay. Can you share your screen?
Oh yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
So let me say share screen. I acknowledge, allow. Oh, that's infinity. Okay, so here's the one I was trying to show.
Okay.
So video chat on iOS browsers, running video, screen share, and audio has problems, right? There are camera issues. Just simply accessing the camera will sometimes give you an error, right? Permissions get blocked. It's not the same as a native app whatsoever. There's screen share problems. There's glitches. There's limited sharings, performance lags for sure. Because iOS on this browser I was talking about on just this web view, each thread will get killed randomly if it's doing something intense. That's completely different from desktop. On desktop, you might think about Google Meet or other stuff you use where you're still in a browser but you're doing complex things. Very different because a desktop has a powerful CPU and it doesn't have these limitations that this little iOS web view does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the second slide. If I go to this third slide here, talk about a little bit about Android, but basically it's slightly different in that Androids can actually have different browsers, but you still have all these other issues that basically get you to the exact same place. You have thousands of different devices. Some Androids are terribly low, underpowered. You're going to have even worse problems than like the base model iOS. And you have all these things with the same. It's basically. I won't go into the details of Android, but suffice it to say, it's exactly the same problem. All right. And then let's see. I've got here. Here's like the real constraints on this WebKit iOS I was talking about. Okay. So under load it gets incredibly unstable. Camera mic sessions, they reset. You might think you've got your mic just the way you want it, and then boom, now it's back to the default, right? Audio routing bugs. It might if you have a Bluetooth headset in, oh my God, now you're going to get audio in one place or the other. It's going to go to your car speaker, or it's going to background behavior. If all of a sudden you're using the app and you go to a different app in your background and come back, it's not going to you've broken it. Now you got to restart again. iOS aggressively kills tabs. No warning whatsoever, no recovery hook, no way to get back, and screen sharing, just forget about it. It's just you won't even have that little option. Like the button will be grayed out. Yeah.
So, okay, you have another one. Keep going.
Oh yeah, we can. I'll pause here, and this will be the last one. Go
ahead. The question that I have is, and I agree from a podcaster, content creator standpoint. They should be on either the app or desktop. But what about from just a viewer perspective?
Oh, okay. So yeah, excellent question. And you're right in that the core features of that room that you're going into are going to be the screen share, the background blurring. If you're not on camera, but the viewer still has the exact same issues. If you think about it, from they want to watch the video, then that video has to come in and can't lag, right? And the speaker, same issue. They don't want that to go to a random Bluetooth device. They want to actually hear it. And so, yes, you have a point in that there are fewer things. And, we do have a decision to make in this business of like, if you notice the way I put the screenshot in the ticket of how it's looking right now is like, it gives you that warning basically. And it says, hey, this would be better in the apps, but I still let you in. There's that button to still go in, right? So you can go in at your own risk basically. And then we have to decide if we want to allow that. I'd probably vote on the side of don't even allow it, because they're going to have a horrible experience in there, and we want them to download our app anyway. So I would say just like enforce that. Be like, sorry, you can't get in. Go download the app. But you might have a different take. Yeah, go
ahead. I do have a different take. And when we first did it, when we first launched, that's how we had it. And I just had this feeling. I didn't have any data because you don't have data for people who don't come on your site. I just had this gut feeling that people weren't willing to download an app yet for something they don't know about. They want to have an experience first. So and most people are going to have their initial experience on a phone. And I feel like from a visitor or from a viewer standpoint, even registered viewer or just a non-registered viewer, we should give them the opportunity to at least do the basic functions, which are scoring. And the way we did that on the mobile app with the last team was you would tap the score on your phone. You would tap the score on each individual person, their scorecard, and that would pop up a modal that would allow them to submit a score. And then when they hit submit, the modal goes away. And it still allowed them to chat and to access the evidence board. That worked. And I don't know if it was working because I might get this backwards, but the React Native versus the not React Native, I'm not sure if that's something that is like an offshoot, or not an offshoot, but a byproduct of the change that we made. But it worked, and it worked pretty well for the viewer. And I feel like that's important because we need as many people on the platform seeing this experience, seeing what it is, especially the scoring functions and all that kind of stuff as possible.
Okay,
So that's
yeah,
where,
you've totally convinced me we should let the viewer in, and I'm glad
okay.
we're in agreement. We shouldn't let the co-hosts in.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I think from a podcaster host perspective, you should be on a desktop or on the app. I think that's
Yep.
just yeah. I would completely agree with that. But from a viewer standpoint, so people can have like easier pathway to discovery of what this platform is, let's do that.
And then everything you said about tapping in and making it nice, yeah, we can do the exact same thing because remember the old one in React Native, that's nothing but a fancy way to wrap a browser.
Yeah.
And so yeah, well, it's all the same technology. It's all just HTML, JavaScript.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Do you want to show your next slide? Just so you can educate me, even if it's not in the audience for that matter.
For a long time. So yeah, I won't go back to showing, but like all
Okay.
that last slide was saying was basically, if you're confused on why Google Meet, but I use Google Meet all the time in a browser, right? And Google Meet has a native Mac app I could open, right? And Zoom does too, and all the major ones have but it works fine in the browser. And it took years to get that way, right? It used to be in-browser video chat was not that great. What we're doing right now is amazing compared to how it was 10 years ago, right? Okay, so then the question might be like, well, I'm so used to doing that. Why can't, it's still just a browser, why can't I do it on my phone? And so that was the point of the last slide. It was just trying to make it that you understand, like, no, your desktop is incredibly powerful. Your phone is limited. Same information over and over again, basically.
Got it. All right, cool. What do you want to tell the folks who might be still watching?
Thanks so much for you sticking with us this long. This is a really great way to have a tech meeting, and to make a decision, right? And it's kind of fun to do it in public, and I hope other people, enjoyed it. I
think we should maybe do a few more of these, as long as we screen our points of view before anything gets too heated. But it's been a great couple of weeks, man. I'm thrilled to have you on board. We are just cranking out new features like left and right. Folks, if you're watching this, give us a comment. You're obviously going to be watching a recording of this. Comment what you think about the new features, and get on there and have conversations, because, man, the world needs more civil digital discourse. So we're building the arena for that, and we look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Andrew, I'll talk to you in our own little chat, and take care of that bug that you found.
We'll do. Sounds good. Bye, everyone.